Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. It's Monday night, it's 7:30. That means it's time for me and you to have a little chat about all things City. It's your show. What do you want to talk about? Obviously, there's the Coventry game we can look back on. We can all have a moan. We can all have a grumble. How could it be so decent in the first half and then the second half be such a bag of spanners? How can that happen? Was it that bad in the second half? Was it that good in the first half? Were Coventry just better than us? Do you hate to admit it? I want your views. I want your comments on it. And tomorrow night, listen, just a few short years ago, probably 5 years ago, we were still heading towards the Champions League European competition, and Wrexham were down there non-league. And look how it has swung round. They're higher than us in the table. So I want to know what your thoughts are on the trip up to the racecourse ground tomorrow night, 8 o'clock kickoff. Leicester take on Wrexham, Deadpool and all that. Do you fancy it? Or do you feel like, oh my gosh, if we lose this, it is the season over? We want your views and your comments in the next 30 minutes. Join us.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Good evening. Next 30 minutes. What do you want to talk about? Thanks as ever to our pals at Pucker Pies. Don't forget, Balti Pies taste beautiful. We can all do with a few of them. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV on whatever social platform you are. But let's get some views and comments in before we're joined by some guests. I've shared the link, so if you want to come on camera, please do. Scooby Baz says, I'm not surprised. We can't keep playing brilliant in the first half and crap in the second half, or the other way. And it doesn't happen. Mary, hope you're well. How's things going? Patrick, just 5 years ago, we were top of the Premier League. Bet Top was not hiding in Thailand then, says Patrick. Keep your views and comments coming in. Andy says, we need to sort out the left-back situation. Andy, I'm hearing whispers that Luke Thomas will not start tomorrow, but you might be surprised to know who will start there. It's going to be a strange one. But listen, Luke Thomas looked a bit out of his depth. I'm going to be joined very shortly by ex-Leicester defender Julian Watts, who will give us his views, perhaps, on Luke Thomas. Tony Smith says, 21 games without a clean sheet in the league, the most goals conceded in the league, bar the Owls in there. Craig says we only play 45 minutes at the moment. Lewis says, just need a striker to finish the chances, Phil. If you're 2 or 3-0 up, you have a better chance of losing to the other teams. Again, we can talk strikers shortly. We will talk. Looks like Leicester are about to sign from Sweden, Ibrahim Diabate. I don't know much about him, but he scored 18-odd goals in the Swedish league last season. Their season's completely different to ours. It finishes in November and starts in March. So he's out in his pre-season, but apparently we're very, very close to signing him. So we can talk about that if you want to. Good evening, Sean. Hope you're well. Andy Medhurst says we've gone. Where's all the money gone for the transfers? I agree, Andy. Listen, we spent under £2 million last January on Koulibaly, who we've since, I think, sold and got some money back. We spent nothing in the summer. We spent nothing so far. Literally, where are the millions of pounds from the Premier League and the millions of pounds in parachute payments? We can't be this skin, can we? Keep getting your views in. Keep getting your comments in. Andy says play Begovic instead of Jacob. He flapped at a few. Stoličić on Saturday. He's made great saves in other games. I can't make my mind on him. Michael says here, we've fallen this far because the fans have allowed us. Michael's blaming you, blaming me. Have we allowed this to happen, Michael? I'm not sure about that. Let's get Julian Watts in. Julian, adding him in. Let's hopefully he's going to click in here. Waiting for his picture to miraculously arrive. Julian, can you hear us? Can't hear him. I'm going to try and add him in one more time while I get some more views and comments in. Richard says here, if we go 3-5-2, I'm taking a guess, Fatua at left back. And that's not what I'm hearing. Julian, can you hear me? I'd love to get Julian's views, but it's like he's frozen. I'm going to add Reedy in. Reedy, can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. Yeah.
You can hear me. We've got a frozen Julian Watts. It's like watching Luke Thomas at left back.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's trying to click in. I think he's got bad Wi-Fi. Reedy, I'm going to add you in. I'm going to add Taylor in. Lads, you were both at the game on Saturday at Coventry. My question here, all the money's gone to pay off the loans from the Australian bank. Doesn't take a genius in there. Michael says they're not going to buy any players. Rob Tanner told Chris on Leicester Till I Die. Well, the Mercury is saying tonight we are about to sign this player. Taylor, let's start with you. Gave me two halves on Saturday. Now you've calmed down a bit. I saw your post-match video that we shared everywhere. What's your thoughts now, Taylor?
If you take away the whole rivalry and the fact it was a derby, if you say that whole thing again was against Middlesbrough, who were top of the league and had the same season as Cov, I'd probably be sat here saying it was all right. Yes, we lost and threw it away like we always do, but we played well in that first half. But it's just such a shame that we do this every game where we have one good half, one bad half, and it doesn't make it any better that it was Coventry.
I'm going to try and add Julian just back in. Julian, can you hear us now?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Julian. For some of the younger fans, they may not quite remember Julian, but I certainly remember you very, very fondly for those couple of seasons you were at Leicester back in 96 to 97, 98, Julian.
Yeah, mid-90s, yeah.
Yeah, you played in a playoff final, did playoffs and towards in the Premier League, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah. Yeah, I think I signed in March and we actually went, I think the manager was under a bit of pressure. My first game was Sheffield United at home, which was a bit of a disaster. And there was the big protest in the car park from the supporters, and Martin took them in the office, or a select few. And from there, I think we went away to Charlton and won 1-0, and we went on a fantastic run and got to the playoff final.
I often refer, Julian, to that incident, which I was there at the game that day when Martin O'Neill, there was protests, there was get him out, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I still use that even this year, because before the game against Coventry, I was referring to that game and saying it just takes one big game to kickstart a season. And that season that you were involved with Leicester was exactly that, because we then went from the doldrums right up. Just what was it like being part of that ride?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I can't remember a sort of better, even though it was a short period of time, a better time in my career. So, I signed on deadline day along with Muzzy Izzet, probably one of the greatest signings Leicester have ever made. And the first game...
Muzzy wasn't bad either.
Pardon?
I said Muzzy wasn't bad either, Julian.
Yeah, really. But the game with Sheffield United, I'd come from Sheff Wednesday, got a lot of stick. I didn't have a good game. We didn't play well as a team, but I had a poor one as well. So that was a bad start. And, you think, oh my God, where do we go from here? And then I'm sure, if memory serves, we went away to Charlton midweek, won 1-0. Then I think it was Palace Saturday, who were obviously up in the top six, won 1-0. And I think there was about 12 games. We lost the odd one, I think, and a draw here and there. But we went on this fantastic run that, obviously culminated as stood on the pitch at Watford the last game of the season, having won again 1-0 and wondering whether other teams the results had gone for us, which luckily for us they did. So, I mean, it was just amazing. And then to top it off, playing Stoke at home, which was a really poor game. But then we went away and did the business again and got to Wembley, and the rest is history.
Quite a few fans, Julian, are saying, can you get your boots on? Can you come back to Leicester and kick up some of these players up the backside? Because you're still very, very much, Julian, involved in football, aren't you? You're a reserve team manager. Talk us through that just briefly.
Yeah, no, Worksop Town reserves. I mean, I've got my lad's 18. He's sort of coming through that way, and he's been at Worksop Town since he was about 10 or 11 years old. And as time's gone by, they just sort of asked me to take that role on. Which I have done for this is my second season there now. So it's quite an interesting one. We're playing a men's league, but the average age of the team's about 18 maximum. So I've got a really young side and struggle with the physicality, but trying to get them to play the right way and things like that. So, it's all good experience for me, good experience for them. And yeah, just see where it goes.
We're going to move it back, Julian, just for a bit to the game on Saturday that we've just lost. I'm going to ask Reedy, who was there first. Reedy, I know. Well, talk me through Luke Thomas. And then I'm going to ask Julian about what it's like to be a defender when the rub of the green just isn't going for you. But Reedy, you were there. What Luke Thomas, again, Sheffield United, he got undone. He seemed to get undone again at Coventry.
Yeah, well, when we saw the team lineup come out, I was speaking to a few people in the concourse, and I was saying that, well, that's not a shock. Again, there's not many other players you could pick from, but at the moment, I'd still pick Christiansen, who doesn't care about the club, in that position, because I think he actually is a better defender. But overall, yeah, I think that every time you put Luke Thomas in that lineup, the opponent's going, right, just focus on that angle, go to that wing, dominate him, overload him, and you'll get caught out. I think there was one time where the Dutch right back for Coventry absolutely pulled his pants down and got around him. And other than that, he actually didn't do too badly, but it was the moments where he needed to do something instantly, like their second goal, where the ball came over the top, and without even trying to shove him off, he just fell on the floor. So for me, as much as I'm not going to blame him solely for that goal, he needs to be doing better in a lot of aspects of the game. And for me at the moment, I'd be happy to see Aluko back into that side.
Julian, obviously you played defence all your career, not just at Leicester, at many other teams. It feels 21 games Leicester's gone, Julian, without a clean sheet, and it feels like we're brittle at the back. It also feels like people are I don't want to use the word scapegoating on Luke Thomas a little bit, because he definitely has made mistakes. How do you, as a ex-professional defender, how do you stop sometimes when this, as soon as we seem to have any pressure on us or a goal, we just seem to crumble, Julian? What would you advise people, and what's it like being potentially in a team where it's like that?
Yeah, and it seems like it's the old team. I was looking at the results, and there's been no run of form. So there's no form in the team whatsoever. So that, they're nicking a result here and there, then they're losing one, but there hasn't been a good run. So it just suggests to me that as a team in its entirety, that they're not quite performing well, and that'll be all over the park. Going back to what Reedy said about Luke Thomas, I mean, he's a young lad. I think he's really talented. And as a defender, the terrible thing is you can have a great game for 89 minutes and just, a couple of seconds, you make one mistake. And I've done it myself. I had a run at Leicester, actually. And I think I went 3 or 4 games on the bounce. And every time I made the one mistake, it was a goal. And that's because you're at that end of the pitch. And it can be really unfortunate. And then, people will look at you and go, he's a bad player, because you can see the mistakes where you're not a bad player. But you need to stop the mistakes. The goals on Saturday, I would put them both down to the defenders. I think the first one, when the ball gets played back out, the defence has got to squeeze up very quickly. It's a skill that they should be practicing every week. As the ball moves, the defence moves, and they get pinned in their own 6-yard box. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it comes in like a pinball. And with the goal with Luke Thomas, I just feel like football's going a lot this way, where people might expect a foul. And for me, as a defender, you never, ever would shirk any physical challenge, expect a foul. It was a battle, and you were fighting your corner maximum all the time. And I see this in, not just Leicester. When I see a centre-back diving, trying to get a free kick, I'm like, scratching my eyes out. It's just like, what has the game come to? And again, that might not be what happened, but he does need to be stronger. He knows that. If he's on the back stick defending, he comes across, he cannot get pushed over like that. And it's a shame, like I say, because I think he's a talented kid. But that was just far too easy, and obviously cost us the game in the end.
We'll get some comments up, and then I'll come back to Taylor with a question that somebody's asked here. Michael says here, Luke Thomas was definitely poor. If he was replaced, I think the result would have still been the same. That's probably, Michael, a fair assessment on it. Andy Meadows says Mavididi sometimes doesn't do Luke any favours. I think Andy's referring to him tracking back in there. Anne says we can only play 45 minutes before the errors start happening in there. And then Nick, I'm going to ask this to Taylor, and I'm going to then ask the same question to Julian with his eye on it. But Taylor, Nick says here there's no leaders on the pitch that would have got away with it if they played under Walshy, Elliott, etc. And that we'll take that to Julian next. But first of all, Taylor, that second half, they came out all guns flying and they scored a goal. That can happen. After that, there was at least 10 or 15 minutes where I was watching it, Taylor, going, Marty needs to change something quick, because we were under the cosh from the kickoff of the second half up until, to be fair, Coventry made substitutions to even more push it. So it's kind of my question to you firstly, Taylor, is about leadership on the pitch and leadership off the pitch between Marty and the players. What was that was my take on the game. 20 minutes after half time, what on earth was going on?
Yeah, I think if you're 1-0 up at a place top of the league, Coventry, the haters, they're going to be all over us in that second half. You have to make sure someone on the pitch has got to shout to everyone, make sure we do not concede in that first 10 minutes of that second half, even first 5 minutes. We need to get everything out, kill the momentum, because they're going to be well up for it. And it just felt like kick-off, and we just folded. They just beat us to every first ball, second ball. They wanted it 10 times more, and it's weird because as being 1-0 up, it's like you should want to defend it more than even wanting to score. Like, it's just they sort of just deflated, soft, and fell apart.
Julian, back to you, and especially because obviously everybody watching this is a Leicester fan. Your time at Leicester, being a defender, I always had you down from a fan watching from the terraces, Julian. That you were there, you were vocal, but maybe not the most vocal person on the pitch. But in that team at Leicester, when you were there was some big characters and some people who would talk us through people or players you played with, especially at Leicester, but any team who you go when the tough gets going, the tough get going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know personally myself, I wouldn't say I was one of the natural. I mean, I'd never stopped talking for 90 minutes. So I was always good at, passing the information on. Both myself and Walsh were very aggressive characters. We never shirked a challenge, which would be quite difficult for us both to survive in this day and age, I think. But, we were always very aggressive with the opposition. We always shouted loud. Then you had Neil Lennon, really, really vocal and an absolute machine in the middle of the park. Then you had Gary Parker, who was a bit more softly spoken, but his knowledge of the game was phenomenal, at that time when he was at Leicester. So right there, you've got four people straight away. Simon Grayson, another one, very, very vocal. Nicky Whitlow on the other side, So we did, and as a manager, it's a cliche, but you want 11 captains on the pitch. You want 11 people speaking. It doesn't always happen like that. But the more noise you can get on the pitch, the better. And like I say, the aggression we all showed as leaders on the pitch was also something that I felt sort of carried us through some games, just because, we never gave an inch, never absolutely, especially that last, the season in the Championship when we got promoted, and also to fight and stay in the Premier League. And I think we finished just below mid-table. And that was a lot to do with character, how we were socially, actually. I always refer to that we used to go out a lot, probably far too much than we should have done. But we had an unbelievable team bond, as well as the leaders that you've just talked about.
I mean, Julian, maybe modern day football's radically changed because you kind of, again, I'm old school. These lads are obviously a lot younger. It frustrates me when I see people like we've just done something bad and we've lost, and people are still giving each other high fives as they walk off the pitch and going, "Oh, good game, good game." And I don't know. It just feels like back in the day, if you had a bad game, you would everybody would get yorked at on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
In front of the fans.
Yeah, there's a thing now where they always go up to the fans, and some managers insisted even when you've played badly. And I know when we were away from home, you definitely would go to the fans, whatever the result, because they sang for 90 minutes right through the game. Slightly different atmosphere for the home games, but if you had a bad game and you had lost, it was shake hands with the opposition, a quick clap, and you'd toddle off the pitch with your tail between your legs. So I don't get the celebrating defeat, which again, it's not good enough. And is it rife? Not at Leicester, I'm not so sure. But I think everything that we're seeing at the moment, for me, it's coming through the manager, and that for me is the biggest disappointment, I think, so far this season, is that you look at Man United on Saturday, who have got the same group of players but a different manager. The way they go out, they're pressed more aggressively than they have done for 2 years. That comes from Michael Carrick. I don't think we're getting the same from the Leicester manager. It's I read an interview where he said at half time about we knew they'd come out, and it's almost like he was panicking at half time about what was going to happen, and lo and behold, it did. But you should have a bit of a game plan of how we're going to manage the first 5 minutes, the first 10 minutes. We get through that 10 minutes, and then you're going into the next 10 minutes after that, and it's all about how you manage it. And the game, it was like, again, another cliche, a game of two halves. We sort of sat back and waited for them to come on to us, and it was always going to end how it did.
It's interesting you mentioned that. Again, I've not got there's not an exact quote, but Marty Cifuentes apparently told his players at half times, not to feel sorry for themselves that they'd only taken a 1-goal lead in at half time. It feels a bit strange, some of those words. Reedy, again, you were at the game and on the terraces. What was your take perhaps on Marty before, during and after the game? And what position are you still with him as manager? Because clearly he's manager here today and tomorrow for the Wrexham, but is he still just clinging on by his fingertips?
I wouldn't say clinging on. I'm still Marty in, but only on the fact of, I think that after the first half, I think it showed you and showed a lot of people what he kind of wants his team to be doing. And I think he did enough. For me, he did enough and the team did enough for us to be even 2 or 3-0 up. We just didn't take the chances enough to make that happen. Again, a 1-0 lead into the first half. When the whistle blew, I thought, you know what, if we can keep going like this, there's every chance we win this game. But I think the only issue I would say about the manager is like what you said. In the 50th, 60th minute, I was saying we need things to on because it was getting to the point where they were on us instead of us being on them. So again, if it was like, say, I thought Mavadi didn't play the best, so I said, well, right, you got to bring Monger on, bring the Page on, get a bit more energy in the team. But I felt like it just took a bit too long, and I think that's the only reason at the moment why I'd say that the manager has to be blamed for. But other than that, as much as the second half went how it did, I think it was mainly because, like I say, the goal went in early, and I just think that they obviously wanted it more because at 1-0 down, they're going to obviously come out the second half and try and do us in, and they did. So, like I say, that's the only reason I'd say about Marty. But yeah, overall, I would probably say I still think he should be in charge, only because I don't think there's many other managers that can come in right now. Realistically, again, if you could name them, then please do. But at the moment, I think if you're taking him out, then if you're going to bring the Will still in or something like that, what's the point? You might as well keep Marty in charge. So at the moment, keep him in, and hopefully there's got to be some way of changing this formula around, because like I say, first off, I was saying at the ground while the first half was going on that, do you know what? It's probably the best way we've played this season, and that's saying something. So for me, like I say, the first half was incredible compared to what we've seen this season.
I'm going to go through a few fans' questions, and Julian, I'm going to put you on the spot with a couple of questions. I don't know if you're going to answer them, but I'm going to go. People have asked you, and they want your opinion, so we'll have it in there. But let's get to that. Michael says, I don't think we have a manager. I think we have a head coach. I think that's modern day football. Michael's slightly in there. Richard says, I think Marty needs to go, no doubt, but we don't have football in charge to make the right decision in here. First sort of question, Scooby Baz says here, Julian. He says, well said, Julian. Nice that you see what we're watching, a poor manager. So I'm going to ask you about Marty Cifuentes. But then here's the bigger question for you, Julian. Paul Collins asks you, Julian, do you think Top's giving up on the club? I hate to put you on the spot, and feel free to deflect and divert like lots of people in football would. But what's your honest opinions on those, if you can?
I'm actually glad you've asked me the question, because for me personally, I think the sad day that the chairman died was the start of getting to where we are now. I don't think he has the interest that his father did, and you know, you can see that. I remember at the time that every single Premier League club looked on jealously at the setup with the manager, with the chairman in place, and it was just a fantastic sort of story. But then, you know, since he sadly passed away, I really genuinely believe that Top's not really got the interest. He's definitely not got the interest his dad has, but it's to the point now where it would be, you know, do we invite other people to come in and have a look at taking over the club? Because I genuinely believe that. I've thought it for a few years now, and it's really, really disappointing.
Well, Julian, thanks for asking that, and thanks, Paul, there for you. Julian answered it, so it's great. Taylor, let's come to you. We've only got about 5 minutes left, but let's turn attentions, Taylor, to tomorrow night's game at Wrexham. The Hollywood Boys, as they want to be called, whatever. Are you looking forward to it? Are you worried, Taylor?
I'm looking forward to going, because it's a new ground for me anyway. But the game-wise, Wrexham have, before their loss to Norwich on Saturday, they won 5 in a row in all competitions. So you could say they're on good form, but they have just lost. But it's going to be a very tough game. I did say before the Coventry game that Wrexham was actually the harder fixture. So I am kind of scared because they're very good at home. It's a big game for them playing us. It's more worry than excitement, to be fair.
Reedy, you're going as well. You excited, or do you feel like if we lose tomorrow, it's kind of season over?
I don't think I could ever say it was season over because I still think there's every chance we can turn it around. I know this possible point deduction is meant to be coming in, but the longer it takes for us to get it, then the longer chance of us trying to get back to where we need to be. But I don't know. I'm excited for tomorrow. Again, when we saw the fixtures come out earlier last year, I was kind of excited because obviously today's my birthday. So obviously the Coventry game and the Wrexham game was either side of it. So I was kind of excited to go to two of the bigger games of the season. In my opinion, again, Wrexham is one of these clubs that have been getting promoted year in, year out the last few years, and quite exciting to play them. And hopefully we can get a result against them. But like Taylor said, there's every chance for them for playing a Premier League winning team this year. They're going to want to try and do everything they can to try and beat us, and especially for the Disney Plus channel as well.
It's Reedy's birthday. Everybody needs to sing happy birthday. Not really, we're not going to do that, but have a good one, Reedy, in there. Michael says happy 12th birthday, Reedy. Bless. That's not till next year, is it, Michael? He's got his little moustache. He's trying to look older, aren't you? He's actually older than you all think, bless him. He just acts like he's a 12-year-old. Julian, Wrexham, it's kind of like, listen, Julian, as you can tell from my age, I've seen all sides of Leicester, good, bad, ugly, all levels. It just kind of, I'm still grasping with the fact that we've come from 5 years ago, the cusp of Champions League, literally 2 seasons on the trot, winning an FA Cup, you're still competing in Europe. And at the same time, Wrexham being non-league, and many of us have watched the Disney, Welcome to Wrexham. It feels like, how are they suddenly above us, and how are we fearing that we might lose tomorrow at Wrexham's ground? And we've got to this stage, Julian. It feels I think losing to Wrexham to me tomorrow would make me feel like almost a dagger into your heart type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, and I don't want to go on and on about it, but you've got 2 owners there who have totally embraced, Wrexham, the place, the club. That you can see relationships they've got with the players, with the manager. Everyone is on the same hymn sheet at that club. And after a difficult start, which they will do, to get multiple promotions, fairly quickly, is always going to be difficult to shift the squad around to be competing in that, that next higher level. So. Done a great job there, and again, what you see at Wrexham is aside from the Norwich defeat at the weekend, is like Reedy said, it's the 5 wins on the bounce. They're showing a bit of form. They suffered, and then now they're getting used to the division. It's a real tough division to get out of the right way. So they're now finding some form, and that's what Leicester needs to do. The season's not going to be over anytime in the next week or two, but a couple of bad results and you're just drifting further and further away, and it's not that. It's the fact that we're not putting a run of results together. You need to put a run of results together. You could easily get into the playoffs, no problem at all. We've got a really good squad. I just feel like they need direction. But for me, the Wrexham Leicester story for the last few years is all about the owners.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Let's get some score predictions from everybody. Taylor, quick score prediction from you for tomorrow.
2-1 Wrexham.
Oh, God. And you're going. You need to cheer louder than that.
I know, but that's why I'm so... Because I've been to all these games. I know what I'm expecting now.
Reedy?
We'll go 1-0. We'll concede. Go 1-0. We'll score a second, go 2-1 up, and then by the 89th minute, they'll score 2 goals and they'll win 3-2.
Oh, Julian, how about this? Leicester fans predicting it. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to go 3-2 Leicester. As Reedy touched on earlier, I think Bobby Decover-Reid missed 2 very, very good chances in the first half when they were on top.
Yeah.
If they can punish them, when they're on top, then it could be a different story, and it could have been Saturday. But so there's problems at both ends of the pitch at the moment. Like I say, that would have made all the difference if we'd have gone in 2 or possibly 3 up at half time. But need to take the chances. If they do, they can go and win it.
Get your score predictions in if you're watching this. We'll go through them in the end. I've got a good questionnaire, just a quickie for you, Julian. Nick Moore asks you, he remembers you playing, and he says, what was your favourite game you ever played for Leicester?
I mean, the obvious one's the playoff final. Unfortunately for me, the assists weren't a thing, but I got an assist for the winner. I mean, but we had a lot of good days in the Premier League. We went away to Aston Villa at Villa Park when they had York, and we won 3-1. There's days like that I really, really remember. Beating Newcastle at home when they were the big, Newcastle team with Pond. You can't beat the day at Wembley though. It was unbelievable. Personally, for the team, for the club, everything just moved in the right direction in the space of from end of March till to the end of May, and so having experienced it as well was something I'll never forget.
So Julian, the '96 playoff final was Stevie Claridge, the shin.
Yes.
And I love it that you're claiming the assist there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because me, like 40,000 other Leicester fans, were watching Spider Calla come out of goal and going, what the hell is he doing, changing keepers?
I think that's what their back four were looking at.
I never knew that you made that pass. I was watching the keeper go the wrong way, and then suddenly I'm like, Steve Claridge is just about to score. So, what a day that was. It was a cracker. And for these, Reedy and Taylor, you need to get on YouTube and you need to watch it. You'll see Julian make the pass that most of us missed because we were watching a keeper being substituted on. You've seen the goal, yeah. He shinned it, and then I don't know, Steve Claridge sort of claims he didn't shin it now. I think he says he meant it.
He did. I think he said on the day it came off his shin and he's regretted saying it ever since. He has consistently told me that it was not off his shin, although it did look like it was like at the very best, the bottom of his leg.
Yes, we all know. He said it himself. He said, I shinned it. And then he's watched it back and gone, it was a really decent goal. I love it. Anyway, listen, let's get... I'm going to let you guys go before I go through everybody's score predictions. Julian, honestly, a pleasure to have you on again. And thanks for your honest views. It is great to get some honest views. Thank you.
No worries. All right, thank you. All right. Cheers.
Thanks so much to Julian, ex-Leicester City player in there. And, of course, thanks to Taylor and Reedy. We'll be seeing them at the game tomorrow night, and they'll be getting their lovely predictions in before and after the games. Thanks, lads. Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Superb to them. So I'll let those go. Let's get some of your score predictions in before we go. Nick says, Reedy, are you getting an alarm clock for your birthday this year? That's the perfect gift. Too right. Happy birthday, says Craig in there. Glenn says, season's been over for weeks. It's never quite over, Glenn. I'm still clinging on. I said I thought we'd beat Coventry and Wrexham and Oxford. Egg on my face, Glenn, absolutely, because of the Coventry one. Tomorrow, surely. Nick says, Julian, what was your favourite game? We've just done that one. Score predictions. Paul says 1-2 to us. Craig is saying 2-1 to them. Gary, right. Good evening, Gary, says 2-1 to Wrexham. Aggie will be there. Come on, Aggie. We need fans like you going there, full of voice. I know he will. He'll be there singing, but full of hope as well. Michael says 2-1 Wrexham. Scooby's gone mental. 5-0 after a massive telling off from Martin. Should have maybe got Martin O'Neill back before he went back up to Celtic. Martin says 3-1 to Wrexham. Tony says 2-0 to Wrexham. A lot of doom and gloom in the score predictions. Played like we did in the first half, says Jordan, where we're the best team in the league. 4-1 Wrexham. 2-0. Bruno got the second versus... You've lost me there. I think, he's talking about his good goals. Sorry, I think maybe. Jordan goes for 1-1 and Sean goes for 1-1. Listen, thanks so much for getting all your views and comments in. Don't forget, if you're going to the game, make sure you keep an eye out for Leicester Fan TV. People, have a chat with everybody. Nobody bites. Everybody loves to have a chat. And we'll be going live during and before and after the game tomorrow. So thanks, everybody, for your views and your comments. Who knows what might happen tomorrow? Literally anything. See you soon.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.